Imagine sharing a single massive house not just with your parents and siblings, but with up to 20 related families, all of your aunts, uncles, cousins, and grandparents living together under one roof. In Haudenosaunee culture, this giant home is called a longhouse, or Haudenosaunee, and some stretched up to 200 feet long, which is longer than 4 school buses parked bumper to bumper. Building one was a huge team effort using materials straight from the forest. Men chopped down tall trees, bent young saplings into arched frames, and peeled large sheets of spring elm bark, while women braided tough cords from tree roots to tie the bark shingles tightly into place and organize the cozy living spaces inside. Because in Haudenosaunee society is matrilineal, meaning family leadership is passed down through mothers, each longhouse was owned and led by a respected clan mother, with everyone inside belonging to her maternal family. You could easily tell who lived where, just by looking above the doorway for a carved animal symbol like a bear, turtle, or wolf, marking distinct longhouses standing side by side to form one united village community. Step inside the longhouse, and it looks like a giant, cozy indoor hallway lined with built-in wooden bunk beds stretching along both walls. The lower platforms were placed just off the dirt floor, piled high with soft reed mats and warm, fuzzy animal furs to make comfy beds for sleeping at night and benches for hanging out during the day. Above those sleeping spots were high wooden shelves that worked like giant storage closets, keeping tools, clothes, and big woven baskets filled with dried corn, beans, and squash safe and dry for the cold winter months. Down the center of the room, shared fire pits crackled every 20 feet to keep everyone toasty and cook meals, while special square holes cut right into the roof acted like natural chimneys to let the smoke float out and let the bright sunlight in. To the Haudenosaunee, nature wasn't just the great outdoors. It was like part of their own family. Every single day, they made sure to say a giant thank you to Mother Earth for everything she provided. They even had a special opening address called The Words Before All Else, where they took time to appreciate every part of the world around them. They gave thanks to the clear rivers for giving them cool water to drink, the rich dirt for growing yummy crops like corn, beans, and squash, the tall trees for building materials and shade, and the animals, sun, and stars for watching over them. By never taking more than they needed and treating every plant and creature with kindness, they made sure the earth stayed healthy and green for kids just like you in the future. Rivers and lakes served as the natural highways of the Haudenosaunee world, and traveling by water was the fastest way to explore, fish, trade, and visit neighboring villages. To hit the water, they handcrafted sturdy canoes straight from forest trees. Sometimes they carefully shaped giant sheets of tough elm bark over lightweight wooden frames, and other times they carved dugout canoes by hollowing out massive fallen tree trunks using controlled fires and stone tools to scrape out the center. Once their canoes were finished and sealed watertight with sticky pine tree sap, paddlers could glide silently across the water, carrying whole families, tools, and supplies much quicker and more easily than walking through dense, tangled woods. You might remember hearing about corn, beans, and squash earlier. The Haudenosaunee lovingly call this special trio the Three Sisters because they take care of each other just like real siblings. Instead of planting them in separate garden rows, they planted them together in the very same soil mound so each sister could lend a helping hand. The eldest sister, Corn, shoots up tall and sturdy, acting like a natural climbing pole for the Bean sister to wrap her twisty vines around. In return, the bean plant shares special nutrients with the dirt to keep the other two well fed. Down below, the squash sister spreads giant prickly leaves across the ground like a living blanket, shading the soil to keep it moist while blocking out pesky weeds and hungry critters. By working as the ultimate garden dream team, the three sisters supported one another and provided a nutritious, delicious meal for the entire village. Haudenosaunee women played one of the most important roles in keeping the entire village fed and healthy as the master farmers and gatherers of the tribe. In the spring and summer, groups of women and children would head out into the sunny woods carrying handmade woven baskets, foraging for delicious wild strawberries, blueberries, blackberries, and wild roots, while collecting sweet chestnuts, walnuts, and acorns in the fall. Closer to home, women were the boss of the fields. They carefully cleared the soil using stone and bone tools, planted the seeds, weeded the fields, and nurtured the massive community gardens where the three sisters grew. Because they provided most of the village's everyday food through their expert farming and foraging, women were deeply respected leaders whose knowledge and hard work kept everyone strong throughout all 4 seasons. While the women tended the gardens, Haudenosaunee men took on the huge challenge of hunting to make sure the village had plenty of meat to eat. Armed with handmade wooden bows, sharp flint-tipped arrows, and clever traps, hunters would track silently through dense forests for days at a time. Their main prize was white-tailed deer, but they also hunted black bears, wild turkeys, rabbits, and beavers. Hunting required incredible patience, animal tracking skills, and teamwork, especially during late autumn and winter when crops were no longer growing. When a hunter succeeded, nothing went to waste. The tribe gave thanks to the animal spirit, using the meat for hearty stews, the hides to craft warm deerskin clothing and cozy moccasins, the bones for sharp sewing needles and tools, and the sinew as tough thread to hold everything together. Something else to note about the Haudenosaunee is the incredible treasure of the wampum belt. It was like a sacred living history book you could hold in your hands. Instead of writing on paper, craftspeople carefully carved tiny, smooth beads out of ocean clam and whelk shells, using white shells to symbolize peace and purple shells to represent solemn, serious matters. Making each tiny bead by hand using stone drills took tons of patience, and once thousands of beads were ready, they were woven into long belts with deer leather and plant fibers to create symbols and geometric pictures. These belts weren't worn like regular clothing. They were used to record big historical moments, seal important peace treaties between nations, and tell sacred stories, allowing leaders to read the beaded designs and remember solemn promises for generations. If you take a look at the famous Hiawatha belt, you might think it's just a simple row of geometric squares and a tree shape, but every single pattern is actually an incredible map with deep meaning. The symbols represent the 5 original nations of the Haudenosaunee joining together in peace, laid out across the belt from west to east, just like their homelands. On the far left is the Seneca Nation, known as the Keepers of the Western Door. Right beside them is the Cayuga Nation, followed by the center symbol, the Great Tree of Peace, representing the Onondaga Nation, who kept the Central Council fire burning. Continuing to the right is the Oneida Nation, and on the far right is the Mohawk Nation, the Keepers of the Eastern Door. A solid white line runs straight through the middle to connect every nation together, showing that while they each had their own home, they were forever united as one strong, peaceful family under one giant symbolic longhouse. To unite the 5 nations and end generations of fighting, a visionary leader known as the Peacemaker, Daganawida, traveled between villages carrying an important message of harmony called the Great Law. He teamed up with Hiawatha, a brilliant and gifted speaker whose powerful words could move anyone's heart, to help share the peace message with every nation. Together, they traveled across the land to deliver their lesson using a simple bundle of arrows. The peacemaker took a single wooden arrow and snapped it cleanly in half with his bare hands to show that one nation standing completely alone is easily broken. Then, he gathered 5 arrows, one for each nation, bound them tightly together, and challenged anyone to break the bundle, which proved completely unbreakable. Through this clever demonstration, the peacemaker and Hiawatha proved that while each nation was vulnerable on its own, standing united made them strong, resilient, and impossible to defeat.
Long ago, the great turtle bore the world on its back. The animals helped form the land we walk upon. We must always respect and care for all living things.
Instead of writing down their history in books or on paper, the Haudenosaunee preserved their knowledge, laws, and legends through the powerful art of oral storytelling and sacred wampum beads. Specially chosen storytellers spent years training their minds to have razor-sharp memories, passing down epic tales and important historical events word for word around glowing longhouse fires during the long winter nights. When it came to official records, big laws, and peace treaties, the only physical documents they created were the woven wampum belts. Specially appointed leaders, known as wampum keepers, would run their fingers across the rows of purple and white shell beads, reading the patterns and pictures woven into each belt to recite the exact agreements, promises, and histories made by their ancestors generations before. Haudenosaunee clothing was expertly crafted to fit the changing seasons, made mostly from soft, durable deer skins that the women prepared, tanned, and hand-sewed using bone needles and animal sinew thread. During the hot summer months, clothing was kept light and cool. Men wore simple deerskin breechcloths and light leather moccasins, while women wore comfortable wraparound skirts and tunics made from breathable leather or woven plant fibers. When the freezing winter arrived, the people added heavy layers to stay warm and protected from the snow, bundling up in thick deerskin shirts, fitted leggings that covered the full length of their legs, and large, cozy robes crafted from bear, beaver, or deer furs, with the soft fur turned inward against their skin to trap body heat. Their most famous sport, lacrosse, called Tawarathon, or the Creator's Game, was played on giant fields with wooden sticks strung with leather nets, running and dodging for miles to build endurance for hunting, while serving as a sacred game meant to heal the sick and bring joy to the Creator. In the snowy winter, kids and adults played snow snake, competing to see who could hurl a smooth carved wooden stick the farthest down a frozen, icy track, carved right into the snow, which trained their arms to throw with massive speed and precision. Growing up in a Haudenosaunee village, young girls learned important life lessons through hands-on practice and everyday play. Sitting close by their mothers and grandmothers, they carefully guided strips of wood and sweet-smelling grass over and under each other, learning how to weave sturdy baskets while listening to family stories. When it was time to play, girls loved caring for handmade dolls crafted from dried corn husks. These special dolls had colorful clothes, but no drawn-on eyes, nose, or mouth. According to an ancient story, the very first corn husk doll grew so proud of her pretty looks that her face was taken away as a gentle lesson. By playing with faceless dolls, children were reminded that being kind, helpful, and humble on the inside matters much more than how you look on the outside. Every autumn, the Haudenosaunee gather for the midwinter or green corn festivals to give thanks for the harvest. bringing the whole community together in celebration. A favorite tradition during these gatherings is the thrilling peach stone game, where players take turns tossing painted peach pits in a wooden bowl. Everyone cheers loudly as the pits land, keeping score based on whether they show dark or light sides. It is an exciting, fast-paced game that brings families together in laughter and friendly competition while celebrating a bountiful harvest. Throughout the year, the Haudenosaunee calendar was packed with joyful seasonal celebrations meant to give thanks to the natural world for its gifts. In early spring, when tree sap started running, communities gathered for the maple ceremony to taste the first sweet syrup, followed soon after by the Strawberry Festival in June, where everyone drank fresh strawberry juice and celebrated the very first wild fruit of the season. As the gardens bloomed, they held the green corn ceremony to celebrate the sweet summer corn, leading into the giant harvest festival in the autumn, where families gave massive thanks for the Three Sisters crops that would keep them fed all winter. When the snow fell deep, the midwinter ceremony marked the spiritual new year with sacred fires, games, and singing, bringing the entire village together inside the longhouse to dance, share hearty feasts, and start the new season with grateful hearts. When big decisions needed to be made for the entire Confederacy, the men served as sachems, or chiefs, traveling to the sacred Great Tree of Peace in the centrally located Onondaga Nation to meet around the council fire. At these Grand Council meetings, every single chief had to agree before a new rule or treaty could pass. There were no quick majority votes, which meant leaders spent hours talking and listening until everyone reached complete harmony. However, the chiefs did not hold all the power. The women watched their decisions closely, and if they felt a chief was being selfish, acting recklessly, or not looking out for the best interest of future generations, the women joined together to demand change. In fact, it was the wise clan mother who had the ultimate authority. Just as she originally appointed the chief, she held the power to strip away his title and remove him from council immediately if he broke his promise to his people. Based on what we have learned about the Hiawatha Belt, we now understand that the Haudenosaunee culture is committed to peace, unity, and democratic governance.